G'day, welcome to Mt.Coramba Apiculture. It's Sunday, the 22nd of December 2024. I'm at Edgefern, which is a site close to home in Narna Glen. I've got 12 production hives here and a few nukes just over there. So these bees came from down off the mountain, Loanna and Brooklana, and they were mite free when they come down here a couple of months ago. So I started picking mites up in them about a month ago, initially in some drone uncapping, and then when I went and washed them, I sort of had low levels, 1s and 2s, which I wasn't too worried about. So I was just sort of going through them at random last week, and I found this hive here has got a count of 30. This one's got 4, this one's got 2, and that one's got 0. So there's one over behind me here that's got a count of 25, and another one that's got a count of 12. So I was a little bit surprised to find these, not high counts, but above threshold counts, just in these random hives. So why has this one got 4, and this one got 2, and that one got none, and this one's got 30? I'm kind of struggling with that. And maybe if anyone from, overseas has dealt with this can let me know in the comments what you think. But these are closer to the blueberry farms, which are kind of just over the hill over here, probably about 3 k's away be the nearest one. So I know there's unmanaged hives over there, and I'm sure there's hives collapsing with Varroa there right now. My other site over at Coramba, which is about 5 kilometres that way, I'm still getting counts of 0 and 1. I think the highest count I got there was 4. But interestingly, the hive over at home that came from Coramba and went to Narna Glen, I found 1 mite in it on the 18th of August, so 4 months later I'm still getting a count of 1 in that hive. So there's been no detectable mite growth in that hive. So I'm really struggling to get my head around how this stuff works, and I've said a few times I really feel like I'm relearning everything at the moment. So if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm starting at the bottom of the IPM pyramid and working my way up, and hoping that some of these mechanical methods will slow things down for me. But I think we're just in that phase now where there's a lot of feral hives collapsing around the place, and a lot of unmanaged and even managed hives that belong to people who've just got their head in the sand. And I know that those bees are collapsing with Varroa, and they'll blame small hive beetle and that sort of thing, and they're just in a bit of denial, I think, about what's actually happening here. So I've made the decision with this count of 30 and this count of 35, I'm going straight to the top of the IPM pyramid. So the only legal method I can use at the moment is Bayvarol. So, and that's because I've got honey supers on all these hives. So this is the only product I can use at the moment that's legal. So, so that's what will be going into these hives. Bayvarol works really well. I can use it with the honey supers on. It'll drop the mites off these bees in 24 to 48 hours, and it does a great job. But you've still got all that emerging stuff in the brood, so these things stay in for 6 to 8 weeks. I'm just reading on the back of the packet here. 6 to 8 weeks, 4 to a brood box. So I've only got single brood boxes here, so that'll work well for me. And I'm going to put a sticky mat in and pull it out after 24 hours and just see what that mite drop is as well. So these Hive IQ hives have got a little rail underneath, which is going to be really handy for that monitoring. So I'll show you how I do that in a bit of B-roll later, and I'll put it in here. So I'll be able to just put that mat on a piece of tin and slide it in under the hive like you'd do with a cloak board or something like that, and I can just leave it there for 24 hours and pull it out. I'm mindful that the weather's hot here at the moment, so we've got a probably low to mid 30s today, and even ouch. Rotter. So where was I? So low to mid 30s today. Really takes your attention away from what you're doing when you get stung on the lip. Makes your eyes water, and that's why bees go for people's faces and mammals' faces. They know that it'll get your attention away from what you were going to do. Tomorrow's going to be even hotter, so probably mid 30s again, and because these hives ventilate through the bottom boards, I'm concerned about leaving that sticky mat in there for too long. So just in for 24 hours and back out, and I'll come back and check them later as well and just make sure they're not in distress. The other advantage of these Hive IQ hives, there's a product now called apibioxyl, which has been approved. It's an oxalic based product, but you know, a typical slowness of our regulators, it won't be in the country till, you know, late January, mid-February next year. So we could have had all this stuff approved and have that product here now, but yeah, just the wheels grind very slowly here, and it's really disappointing that the only product I can use is this when there are other products approved around the world that are safe and easy to use, and we don't have them. So don't get me started. So when that comes next year, I can then use that product as a dribble, so dribble it on the bees in the brood box, and fogging as well. So one of the problems with fogging with these hives that ventilate through the bottom board is that when you vaporise that oxalic acid, the bees just blow it straight out through the bottom. So one of the advantages of these Hive IQ hives, if I can slide that piece of tin under there, I can have 3 or 4 going at a time and slide that piece of tin under there, do the sublimation or the fogging, and leave it there for a time period till the bees absorb all that oxalic acid or get it onto their outside, and then pull that out and they can ventilate again. So once again, that's just a process of learning for me if I decide to go down that path. And you know, hopefully when that sort of thing comes, I can work more on, I've set all my apiaries up so that they're in small lots, 10 to 15, and I can treat them as small apiaries and rely more on that those mechanical methods and brood breaks, and those organic methods like using oxalic acid to do knockdowns of mites. And you know, I won't have to resort to this stuff too much, but at the end of the day, my livelihood and the welfare of my bees is the most important thing. So I'm not going to let these hives die and collapse to go out and infect these hives and other hives. I'm going to do the responsible thing, and I'm going to go straight to the top of the IPM pyramid and throw some Bayvarol in them. So we'll go through that process now, and yeah, hopefully my phone doesn't overheat, and we'll see how we go. So here's the underside of a Hive IQ bottom board. You can see those rails there. They've got a little groove in them there. There's the ventilated bottom board part there, and that's space for a pollen trap to go in. You can retrofit them in there, which I'm yet to see, but I believe they're coming. So there's your rail there, and I've just cut a piece of tin the right size to go into that rail, and there's a sticky mat on there which will come off. The sticky part will come off, so that just slides in like that. Obviously the bottom board will be the other way around on the hive, and I'll actually slide it in when it's the other way around, so that'll just fit in there. The mites fall through that screen bottom board when they drop off the bees, and they'll be caught on that sticky mat. So that's how I'll be doing that. And yeah, that's a great advantage of these Hive IQ bottom boards. So once we start oxalic acid sublimation or fogging, we can just slip them in, do the fogging, wait whatever the period of time is you're required to wait, and pull it out, and then they can ventilate again. So yeah, if you're thinking about maybe trying a few of these Hive IQ hives, you've got the advantage of that mechanical method of just normal mite drop. They'll fall through there and disappear. And also when you do a treatment, you can do some counts with mite drops with sticky boards and get some idea of the mite load that was in the hive. Right, so let's go and open this hive and get our strips in and sticky mat. Okay, so we're down in this brood box. Got a green comb in here which was replaced, swapped over with the other one during the week, and that's when I was doing these mite checks, and picked up the count of 30 in here. So I did take a box of honey off here a couple of days ago as well, so with the view of replacing any old combs down in here, but I can see there's only one old one there, so I've got a sticky from that extraction, and we'll move this comb to there and take this one out and put the sticky in position 2 there. So so let's have a quick look through here. I forgot to mention in the intro that yesterday was the longest day of the year, so we passed that summer equinox, and yeah, the bees tend to want to swarm less then, so I'm less worried about swarming now, and I can concentrate on mites and teaching myself how to manage these bloody things. So there's a frame of pollen there. Bees are sitting nicely on the comb, which is the way I like them. Nice frame of seal brood there. Just focusing closely on these bees, and I'm wondering if I can see any Varroa walking around on them. Green comb. It's nicely drawn. I can't see any eggs in there yet, but they'll get to it when they get to it. So a nice frame of open brood there. There's certainly no indication that they want to swarm or anything like that. And yeah, so they're going really well. Just focusing in on these bees and thinking I might see a mite. But yeah, nothing there. There's my queen there. Wings are looking a bit worn out on that old girl. Yeah, lots of young nurse bees there. Nice healthy brood. However, they've got a high Varroa count, and it won't stay healthy for long if it's just left. Alright, so let's grab this, which is frame of honey. So once I treat this with a synthetic miticide, these frames will stay down here. They won't go up into the honey super, and I can't extract honey from some frames out of here unless the honey's tested, so it's not going to happen. So just got to get used to a different way of managing these things. It's a long frame. So there's that sticky that I extracted a couple of days ago going in there. Just push them across. And get our wall comb back in. So always protect your hands from this stuff. The label says use gloves, and yeah, it's kind of common sense. So there's 4 strips in here. Found when we were using them on the response when I was working for DPI, just give those a good twist before you go to use them, and then you want them in the brood. So one here, one here, one in that position, and one there. So basically what you've got is a nice diamond pattern, and there's one in each seam through the centre of that brood box, so that gives you good coverage, and the bee's going to walk over those and pick up that miticide and spread it through the brood box and knock that mite load down. So that's our Bayvarol in. Let's get this hive back together and put our sticky mat in. Yes, that was a bit tricky just to get that started, but that's in its rail now. Just slides in. It's going to catch on the end there. I'll just duck around through the back. See, I just had to put the hive tool into the back of it there. It was just getting caught on the back. I'll just have to refine this till I get something that works. Yeah, it's just a matter of trial and error. So that sticky mat's in there now. It's going to stay there for at least 24 hours. I'm concerned about the heat, that they can't ventilate through there. I'll come back this afternoon and just make sure I'm not in any distress. And yeah, hopefully leave this at least till mid-morning tomorrow to see what sort of mite drop I get out of that hive. So that's hive number 2 done for Bayvarol. Alright, so that's got that done. I've got Bayvarol in 2 hives there, one at a count of 30 in 300 bees, one at a count of 25 in 300 bees. I did do the second hive, but the camera overheated halfway through it, so that was the end of that. Yeah, so just to recap, why am I doing this? Those 2 mite counts are well above the treatment threshold, which for this time of year is 10 mites in 300 bees. So that's the economic threshold, and that's when, you know, it's generally accepted that's when we should be treating, when the mites go over that level this time of year. So what have I used and why? I've used Bayvarol. So the reason why I've used Bayvarol is because I'm concerned about the mite levels and the mechanical methods that I'm using. Screen bottom boards and drone mite trapping won't be enough to bring those mite levels down. They might hold it steady, but then they won't be enough to bring it down. So this is the only treatment I've got available to me at the moment. I can't use any of the non-organic, I can't use any of the organic methods, so thymol or formic acid, because it's just too hot here at the moment. And to be honest, it's too hot most of the year. The other synthetics I can't use with the honey supers on, and these hives have honey supers on them 12 months of the year. I never take them off. So the only legal method I've got is Bayvarol, and that's what I've gone for. So provided they're used as per the label, so there's no issues with contamination of honey. You will get a build-up of flumethrin in the wax, which is why those frames brood frames now stay down there, and I've just taken the opportunity before I put some Bayvarol in, just to pull a couple of frames of honey, wall frames of honey, up above the queen excluder, so that, yeah, they're out of there now. So yeah, so that's what I've used and why. These will be in for 6 to 8 weeks as per the label, and I've put a sticky mat under the hive with 30 just to see what sort of drop we get, and I'll pull that out tomorrow morning, about mid-morning, which is about now 10 a.m, and just see what sort of drop we've got off that, and make some sort of comparison with, you know, what a count of 30 mites looks like on the actual drop of mites off the bees. So yeah, so I hope all that makes sense. Let's have a look at the counts tomorrow. I'll do another video on that, and we'll follow it up and keep going on this this trip of learning about Varroa mites in Australia. Thanks for watching.